Hi, my name is Stephanie Kershingle, and I'm going to go over the ESO strategy SQ3R. That stands for Survey, Question, Read, Review, Recite, and Review, which is 5 different steps. So, for this presentation, I'm going to be using the book Learning and Memory, and the section within the Triune Brain Model. So the first step is survey, which is basically just skim through the text, look for titles, subheadings, visuals, and sometimes in this text there could be marginal notes that point out important information. That gives you an idea of what you're going to be reading. Then the next part is questioning what you read, and basically you can get questions out of the title and subheadings. So in this case, good question words to use are what, when, who, why, or how. So for this case, the Triune Brain Model. Good question to ask is, what is the Triune Brain Model? And for the subheadings, the brainstem, what is the brainstem? The limbic brain, what is the limbic brain? And the neocortex, what is the neocortex? Since I see a picture of a brain, obviously it's involved with the brain, so better questions to ask are, what is the function of the brainstem in the brain? What is the function of the limbic brain in the brain? What is the function of the neocortex in the brain? Okay, so then the third step of the strategy is just to read, and as you read, answer those questions you asked yourself. What I like about this book is basically that visual answered my questions to all the subheadings. So in this case also, when you read, you're also probably going to be adding more questions. For me, from experience, when I read the first time, it's hard for me to develop questions in my mind, but when I read the next time, by remembering what I just read, I find myself finally starting to ask myself questions to make connections with what I just read. Okay, now the next step after just reading is reciting, and reciting is basically you just write simple notes, in your own words. You can just write keywords. It doesn't have to be whole sentences. Just write information that you found important throughout the whole text you had to read. Okay, then the last step is just to review, and review you can break it down into days or maybe a few hours, depends on how much time you have to review all the information you had to read for. If you have a reading assignment or a quiz or a test coming up, it's good to for those questions that you wrote down and when you skimmed, those are good to look at and to review, especially when you got your answers, and the questions that you gained from taking notes. And what's a good strategy is to use a highlighter to highlight whatever questions you felt you had difficulty remembering or memorizing. Okay, so basically I find this strategy good for middle school and high school, and it will be definitely good for this strategy is definitely for textbooks. So the classes that it can be used in is social studies, science, and math. And I think this is a really good strategy for ESOLs, English language learners, because reading can be very overwhelming, especially when you're reading text that you're probably having a hard time comprehending. So this strategy can help avoid frustration for not being able to understand the text. It just helps, break it down, what you're reading, and it gives students, opportunities to clarify with the teacher what questions they have or what they weren't understanding the text. And it's a really good practice for reading comprehension, especially when to practice for tests such as FCAT testing, because in the FCAT you have to obviously comprehend what you read and you have to do it in fast speed, so it's good to build up in slow speed with the textbooks. And what's nice about this is when you have to write in your own words, this will prepare students for reading assignments, not to just copy from the text from what they read, just be able to write in their own words. Have that practice though first, because it's not really easy to write in your own words first. It's so tempting just to write from what you see in the text. So I recommend this strategy to anyone who has a hard time with reading comprehension. And that's my presentation for today. Thank you.